Hey guys, it's your girl Sage. I hope you're having a wonderful day or night whenever this video finds you. I'm here with our daily bread, and for today we have the book of Proverbs, chapter 31. The words of King Lemuel's mother. The words of King Lemuel, the utterance which his mother taught him. What, my son, and what, son of my womb, and what, son of my vows? Do not give your strength to women, nor your ways to that which destroys kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes intoxicating drink, lest they drink and forget the law, and pervert the justice of all the afflicted. Give strong drink to him who is perishing, and wine to those who are bitter of heart. Let him drink and forget his poverty, and remember his misery no more. Open your mouth for the speechless, in the cause of all who are appointed to die. Open your mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy. The virtuous wife. Who can find a virtuous wife? For her worth is far above rubies. The heart of her husband safely trusts her, so he will have no lack of gain. She does him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeks wool and flax and willingly works with her hands. She is like the merchant ships. She brings her food from afar. She also rises while it is yet night, and provides food for her household, and a portion for her maidservants. She considers a field and buys it. From her profits she plants a vineyard. She girds herself with strength and strengthens her arms. She perceives that her merchandise is good, and her lamp does not go out by night. She stretches out her hands to the distaff, and her hands hold the spindle. She extends her hand to the poor. Yes, she reaches out her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of snow for her household, for all her household is clothed with scarlet. She makes tapestry for herself. Her clothing is fine linen and purple. Her husband is known in the gates, when he sits among the elders of the land. She makes linen garments and sells them, and supplies sashes for the merchants. Strength and honor are her clothing. She shall rejoice in the time to come. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and on her tongue is the law of kindness. She watches over the ways of her household, and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many daughters have done well, but you excel them all. Charm is deceitful and beauty is passing, but a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised. Give of her the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. Alright, so let's talk about it. The book of Proverbs, chapter 31. This chapter serves to teach wisdom through a multifaceted perspective to help us understand the value of a king who rules with honor and fear of God, and the value of a woman who lives with high moral standards in accordance to her fear of God. For we know that fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, as we read in Proverbs chapter 9, verses 10 through 11. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. For by me your days will be multiplied, and years of life will be added to you. Now, I do want to point out that King Lemuel is not actually found in the Bible, but there are speculations that he may be King Solomon, and his mother instructing him is Bathsheba. Some also believe that he may be an Arabic king of Massa. Yet, despite who King Lemuel's mother is, we see that he remembers words of wisdom that she shared with him, as we read in Proverbs chapter 31, verses 3 through 5. Do not give your strength to women, nor your ways to that which destroys kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes intoxicating drink, lest they drink and forget the law and pervert the justice of all the afflicted. And in doing this, in the rest of her teachings to King Lemuel, she is teaching and guiding him not only to avoid the things that would cause him to make bad decisions or to lose his power to the lusts of his flesh, whether it be women or drink, but also encouraging him in the ways in which the Lord commands his people, as we read in Exodus chapter 23, verses 1 through 9, that talk about the Lord's commands to his people to not obstruct justice. But also, while reading this chapter, we're reminded of the great authority that a king has, because we have to remember that this is King Lemuel while he is young and still being risen by his mother, in the responsibilities and duties that he is to inherit when he becomes king. And while reading this chapter, I was reminded of a very famous quote. I think this quote comes from Spider-Man that goes by this: "With great power comes great responsibility." And while that may not be directly from the Bible, it is appearing to be inspired of something that we read in Luke chapter 12, verse 48. "But he who did not know, yet committed things deserving of stripes, shall be beaten with few. For everyone to whom much is given, from him much will be required, and to whom much has been committed, of him they will ask the more." So this does sound very familiar. To one who receives great authority, they also have great responsibility that comes with this authority. And in King Lemuel's mother's teachings to him when he was young, she's indirectly also teaching him things that the Lord himself had commanded of the kings that he had set over his people, that we read in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 17, verses 15 through 20. That talk about how the Lord will set a king over them, that the king will not abuse his power by multiplying his wealth simply because he can, nor rather taking on many wives for himself, because lest they should cause him to deviate from the Lord God's commandings. Or shall he be greedy with his power, but rather should meditate on the law of the Lord, which is exactly what King Lemuel's mother is instructing him to focus on instead of fulfilling the lusts of his flesh. And this reminds us of advice that we read in Galatians chapter 5, verse 16. "I say then, walk in the Spirit, and you shall not fulfill the lusts of the flesh." So now let's talk about the other protagonist of this chapter, the virtuous wife. The virtuous wife aspect of Proverbs 31, also known as the Proverbs 31 woman, serves to teach and provide examples of a God-fearing woman who serves and supports others. And I really just want to make it clear to say that back in the book of Genesis chapter 2, when the Lord sees Adam working, he recognizes that it is not good for Adam to be alone, that he would create a helper for him. So he creates the animals, puts Adam to work in naming the animals, and when Adam is put into a deep sleep, he takes one of his ribs, and with that rib, he forms Eve and presents her to him. And because Adam recognizes her value to him, he recognizes her as his rib and says, This is my bone, this is my flesh, and because of that, they came together as one. But he received her not as a servant, but rather as a comfort or something that he needed, in the same way that we ourselves need our ribs and our organs and everything that is of our flesh to preserve our bodies and our lives. So I just want to make that clear, but also that Jesus calls all of us to be of servants to others, because in serving others, we are also serving God. So I just want to make that clear really quick, that women are not a second-class citizen to men, but rather to live in correspondence to men. And again, in this virtuous wife imagery that we are receiving the image of someone who is supportive in their marriage. And as we read this chapter, we read that she adds value and her husband can trust her. She is support, does not cause evil, self-sufficient, efficient, utilizes her time wisely, speaks with wisdom, is there when needed, is meticulous with her investments of time, money, effort, and resources, is well prepared. And in reading this, it's funny, I was actually reminded of Galatians chapter 5, verses 22 through 23. "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. Against such there is no law, because she lives in accordance to the commands of the Lord, for she is God-fearing." As we read in Proverbs chapter 31, verse 30, "Charm is deceitful and beauty is passing, but a woman who fears the Lord, she shall be praised." She fears the Lord, so she lives in accordance to his law, and because of this, she produces fruits of the Spirit. As we read in Proverbs chapter 31, verse 31, "Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates." The fruits of the Spirit are born within her as she follows the Lord, as the Lord leads her, and as she lives according to his commandments. And it is these fruits of the spirits that she embodies in all of her interactions and her lifestyle. She exudes self-control when she is careful with her investments of time, money, energy, and resources. She is gentle and kind with the fatherless, with the widow, and those in need of help. She is exercising faithfulness and patience and goodness with her husband and family. She brings peace to all who know her. She recognizes the joys of life, and in doing all of these things, she herself embodies love. And we see these qualities being displayed again in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 7. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy, love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. We see that the Proverbs 31 woman is hardworking, is someone who shares and provides for others, including her own household, her family, the maidservants, even those in need. She provides for these people. She does not hold any of this against these people, but rather is so prosperous because of the works of her own hands, because she is a hardworking woman, that she has the ability to share and give to others. And that's what makes her such a blessing to others and gives her more value than rubies. And that is why when we read Proverbs 31, verse 28, her children rise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Her family knows that they are blessed to have her in their lives because of the works of her hands, because of her high moral standards, in accordance to observing the commands of the Lord, because she has healthy fear of the Lord. And ultimately, this chapter, reading it all aloud, has reminded me of something that could be applied to both protagonists of this chapter, as we read in James chapter 1 verse 27. Pure and undefiled religion before God and the Father is this: to visit orphans and widows in their trouble, and to keep oneself unspotted from the world. That is exactly the advice that King Lemuel's mother is giving him, to keep himself from allowing women to ruin him, or from overindulging in alcohol and leading to bad decisions, but rather to focus on the Lord God's commands and the calling that he has for him, as well as with the virtuous woman who, with her hard work, is able to not only sustain herself and her family, but to sustain all who meet her. And we receive some advice on how to achieve this as we read in 2 Peter chapter 1 verses 5 through 7. But also for this very reason, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, to virtue knowledge, to knowledge self-control, to self-control perseverance, to perseverance godliness, to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness love. At the end of the day, it all boils back down to something that Jesus teaches us, as we read in John chapter 13, verse 34. A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another, just as I have loved you. You also are to love one another. And in loving one another, we understand why the Lord God gives us the commands that he does. When we read about the fruits of the Spirit being love, joy, peace, forbearance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, when we read about these things and understand there is no law against them, it's because in enacting these things towards each other, we are expressing the same love and values that the Lord God expresses to us as well, especially when he had us in mind to create us in the beginning. And this is truly how we reflect ourselves to be children of God, as Jesus tells us in John chapter 13, verse 35. By this all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another. But nonetheless, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this word up here. I am praying that this message has blessed someone. And if it did, feel free to like, subscribe, and until next time, I hope all of y'all take care. Bye-bye!